There can be some pretty long days in the coal mine. Hey, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and there is a fundamental reality about working in the Pentagon. You can't really control your time, and it's difficult to control when you leave for the day. And I know. You guys out in the line units, you are working some pretty long, hard days. I know. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. What I'm saying is that the long days at the Pentagon can be a lot less predictable. You can be doing everything right, delivering results, and then some weird out-of-the-blue problem crops up at 2:30 p.m. and all of a sudden you're working till 8 p.m. In fact, one of the best analysts I ever knew compared this phenomenon to the Cartoon Network program called The Regular Show. In the show, the main characters, Mordecai and Rigby, are these sort of slackers who worked at a local park. And in every show, they would do some stupid, mundane thing like putting a clock in a microwave, and then they'd rip a hole in the time-space fabric and unleash eldritch horrors. And then there's some weird old dude who shows up and applies some arcane solution and saves the world at the last second. That's what the Pentagon's like. And if it seems like I'm just being silly, that's okay. But there is this strange phenomenon about the Pentagon that once you get into the building, you put your cell phone in that little lockbox, and you get to work, the rest of the world just fades away, and time runs out of control. And that has an implication on your work life. See, you can control when you get to work, but you can't really control when you leave. I would strongly discourage you from being the kind of colonel who shows up at 6:30 a.m. because whether you want to or not, you're going to end up working until 7 p.m. And I say this because as a young lieutenant colonel, I was doing my PhD nights and weekends going to George Mason University. I was willing to come in at 6:30 to make sure I could leave at 4. And because I was an action officer, I basically cut a deal with my cube mate. I would cover them no matter how late they wanted to show up, as long as they supported me leaving at 4. As an action officer, that pretty much worked. As a colonel, a director, it did not work. And thank God my PhD was done by then. Because when you're a colonel, you don't really have a battle buddy. Sometimes you have a deputy, but you can't really bail on a late day meeting and just have your deputy cover it for you. The smart colonel, and this was never me because I had formed that habit of showing up early, shows up about 8 p.m. and lets his deputy deal with the early morning things. The smart colonel uses those morning hours to catch a little family time, maybe drop the kids off at school. He controls what he's doing, and then he puts on his uniform and he plunges into the fray. In fact, if you want to take this just a little bit further, there's this old combat arms operator who is now an SES who leverages this whole dynamic to schedule his day. He goes to the gym at like 2:30, 3 o'clock and comes back to the office at 4:30. See, he realizes that there is always going to be some goofy problem that has to be dealt with after 5 p.m. So he builds his whole day around that fact. And this is the brilliant part, what that does is it forces people with regular workaday problems to have to ask themselves whether or not they're willing to wait around until he's available, or if it can wait till tomorrow. Because as far as this SES is concerned, if it has to be done today, it's going to be done late today. And the lower priority your problem, the later he's going to make you stay. Hey, listen, the Pentagon is unlike any other place you'll ever experience. If you get assigned here, trust me, you're going to have a great time and some great stories to tell. And there are some classic sights to see. So if you want some ideas, watch this video.